Hi, I'm Robert White. I am a contractor for Blue Sky Training. I want to thank Blue Sky for allowing me to help with this assessment video today. This is going to be good for your different pathways that you might be doing, like the BAT or BAP. This can also be good for your EA courses where you're doing field testing. We're going to go over how to do an assessment and give you a good idea of the ways we, or the process that we go through to do an assessment and things that we're going to look for throughout there. We're also going to cover some of the advanced diagnostic tools that we're going to use that may or may not be applicable for your programs that you might be in, but can help you further diagnose specific issues in a house. So first off, we want to go ahead, when we show up to an assessment, we're going to try and be as professional as we can and wear our boots, our little booties, to protect the customer's carpet. This is a good time too, when you show up, to also talk to the client about their issues that they might have in the house. I usually ask them to give me a quick tour so I know where the combustion appliances are, attic access, any crawl space accesses, things like that. And then that'll help them say, when they get to a room above the garage, say this is a really hot room in the summer, a really cold room in the winter time, that we can spend a little extra time, trying to figure out where their concerns are, and we can address those properly in our reports. So when we do that, we're going to be looking at all of the areas in the house with windows and doors. We're going to be taking note on can lighting and different roofing types. You might have a cathedral ceiling or a vaulted ceiling that you're going to pay attention to. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, we're going to start with the outside evaluation of the house. So for that, we're going to need our gas sniffer or combustible gas detector. We're going to need some soap bubbles and a tape measure or a laser measure device. For us, in our programs, we actually do a sketch of the house, which isn't required to do, but can help with the quality control on the back end if your program has a quality control process. So let's go ahead and go out. So outside the home, we're going to be looking for what type of siding is on the house, what type of windows we have, any drainage systems. We're going to be looking at the roof. Then we're going to go ahead and look at, we're going to take some measurements. We're going to take any notes. If you're doing a sketch, you're going to want to do that. All of our evaluation equipment, like our combustible gas detector and our gas sniffer, are going to be zeroed out here. So we're going to go ahead and start that up while we're going around. So some of the easiest ways to do this would be go from one side to the other, either hitting like the downspouts with your laser or using a tape measure to measure at least, the sides of the house. So we're going to find our laser right there, if I can get it. So we got 27 feet 8 inches. So we're going to do that on for most of the exams. You're just going to have to do a few different sides of the house, but we're going to measure all the way around the house. We're going to get percentages of windows and sizes of windows on there. It's a great idea to go ahead and take as many photos of the house as possible from different sides. Take a window photo so you know what type of window it is. Like from here, we can see that there is some kind of a coating on there. You can see the reflection in the window. The best time to check the windows for a low E coating is with a low E detector on the inside. So now that we've got our exterior evaluation, what we're going to be looking at for attic ventilation and things like that, see where we can find soffit vents and attic vents. We're going to go ahead and, now that my combustible gas detector is all set up. All right, so once we've located our gas meter, we're going to go ahead and use our combustible gas detector or gas sniffer. We're going to start at where the gas line comes out of the ground, and we're going to go 1 inch per second, 360 degrees around all of the different connection points. And you want to make sure you hit everything. And then if we find a gas leak anywhere, we're going to go ahead and use our bubble solution to double check that leak and make sure it bubbles up. And then we can mark that and let the homeowner know, or any gas company employees or something that your municipality might require you to notify for that. Okay, so once we finished the gas meter, we're going to look, we can see on the electrical meter who the power company is. If we're not already sure who that is, we can take a picture of that. In certain instances, if we're going to be doing or recommending upgrades, we might look at the panel and see if the panel is completely full, what the rating on the panel is or something. That can help us know scope of work if we're doing bids for the client. Another thing we're going to obviously look at is the age and the condition of the condenser unit for it. So I know the other trainings have already gone through what you're looking for on the serial numbers for the units. This unit is obviously really clean on the outside. This is just a regular air conditioner unit. It's not a heat pump unit. We're going to be looking for, if there's insulation on the pipe, the low pressure pipe for the unit. That can affect the efficiencies and make the unit freeze up if it's not insulated properly too. We can also see we've got soffit vents along the back here, and turtle vents on the roof. Oh, it's a continuous ridge vent on this roof. So we can see, because it's lifted up right there at the ridge. It's good to potentially note any different ridge lines and exterior top plates as well, because those are areas that we're going to be looking to add insulation and do some air sealing at. All right, so what we will do too is we're going to take a reading from our gas sniffer or combustible gas detector inside the house to make sure that our levels are below the BPI standard of 10% LEL. That's the lower explosive limit. We're also going to make sure we zero our combustion gas analyzer outside to check for carbon monoxide in the house. We also will always check with our personal device that should read what the ambient CO levels are in the house. I'm going to place this outside real quick and start it up. So we're going to go ahead and check the levels on one floor of the house here for our test purposes, and we're at 0, so we're doing good inside the house. There's no combustible gas noted in here. So we're going to turn this off for now, and we're going to use this when we check the combustion appliances down in the basement later. So for our interior inspection, what we're going to do is we're going to check the fit and size of the different windows, how many panes there are. This is when we can use that low E detector on the window to see if there is any tint or low E coating on that window. For some of the testing, you are going to be required to measure a window or a door. So this one's 3 feet by 79 3/4 inches tall. We're going to check the type of door. So this is an inward opening door. We're going to look at the fit of the door. It fits nice and tight. The weather stripping looks good. You don't see any light coming in around that. So those are the most important things to look for with doors. This one is an aluminum insulated door. So for our windows, we'll do the same thing. Just look to see what type of windows we've got. We've got 2 different panes here. You know, we're looking at the function of the window. These are sliders, so they slide in. They look like they're nice and tight on the track. There's no flex in the sashes to give us problems. So then we're going to go around the house and make sure that we have all of our windows and doors, shut and locked, so that we can set up for the blower door test. So we're going to go around. We're going to make sure that we flip our thermostat to off to set up for the blower door test. The bathroom windows closed. We'll go in and check all the windows in the house. The other thing that we're going to be looking for, like I said earlier, was any can lighting in the house, any other kinds of penetrations into the attic. This is a great time to note where all of your returns and supplies are. So this room does not have any return duct, but it does have a supply. So this could be a pressurized room when the HVAC system is going. So this window operates properly, it's sealed. We're gonna make sure all of the windows are locked. And then once we have that done through the house, we can start setting up for the blower door test. So once we've done that, we'll go down and flip off the water heater to pilot. We're going to look for any carbon monoxide detectors in the house or smoke detectors. Make sure that those are in place for health and safety issues in the house, because health and safety is our #1 concern of the tenants of the house. So let's go down and look at the water heater real quick. All right, so different types of water heaters are going to have different settings. Some you're going to have to just flip down to pilot. You have to be, pay attention to where they were set at so that you can reset the client's settings when you are done. An old trick is also to remember to set that is to put your keys up on top of the water heater so that you can't leave without resetting the water heater. If you do it in the order that we're doing it today, we're going to be doing our combustion safety testing last. So we're going to have to get the water heater fired up anyway. So I don't usually leave my keys on there, but it's a good idea, especially when you're first getting started, to maybe do that so you don't forget. The other things that we're going to look at down here in the basement area is going to be our rim joist. And, we're going to look to see if these are air sealed or insulated, which this is not. The foundation wall is not. We're going to look, we have a partial crawl over here. So we would look in there, check to see, is this a vented crawl space? Is there a vapor barrier on the floor? Is there just dirt? So this is a dirt floor crawl. Again, depending on your area, could be a health and safety concern as well for radon and other things. Moisture getting into the crawl space and into the house. So those are going to be other recommendations that we're going to have. It's good to note and annotate those on any drawings that you make so that you have good square footages as well. Okay, so one of the final things that we're going to want to check on our interior inspection is to see what kinds of insulation they may have in your walls. The best way to do that, because you can't see through the wall, is through an outlet or a switch on the exterior wall. And we can judge or gauge the insulation levels and the depth of the wall and framing. So for this one here, we're going to look and see what we can see. We're going to use a non-metallic probe so we can see if we can pull some insulation down. A crochet hook works really good for that. I can hear the bat in there with a craft paper, and you can see up in there and see that there is insulation in there with craft paper. You can reach in and pull it out, and you can see exactly how deep the wall is, measure that, and you can determine your R value and your insulation type from that. So here in this instance, we're checking the outlets and switches. You may wind up coming across some other health and safety concerns. It may take more than one outlet to get your depths and your insulation levels. So in the kitchen here, they put a spray foam inside of the box, which is not good to be up against the wiring. So we're going to go ahead and check out the attic and the insulation levels up there and go over the things that you're going to have to look for up in an attic space. So one of the major parts of your energy assessment is going to be up in the attic. So things that we're going to be looking for up in the attic here are your dimensions of your framing. So I can tell that they're 2x6s, but you might want to take your tape measure and you can measure that they're 2x6s. This is 2x6 all the way around. Are they trusses? Are they joists? Are they, is this a vaulted ceiling? You know, what types of insulation that you have. And we're going to typically go through the entire attic and look at different spots so you can have an overall idea of the condition of the attic space and the condition of the insulation. If you can see the framing members, you kind of know that it's an average of maybe 6. There are some spots over here that have, you know, no insulation that are above the living area, so that's a problem, and we want to insulate those a lot better. We'll look to see if there's insulation that makes it all the way down to the top plates, exterior top plates. So with this attic here, we have a blown-in cellulose, and then you have some bat insulation in some different spots. You also have an electrical box that is not secured anywhere, and it's open. So those are health and safety concerns. We also can note right here that this bath fan is venting straight into the attic, so that can add extra moisture into your attic and cause moisture problems and mold potentially in the attic space. So one of the other things that we're going to be figuring out here is with the condition of the insulation in the attic, how many spots that we have that are, you know, zero insulation, and we're going to say that this is very poorly installed and maybe an average of 3 overall when you average the sections that have zero insulation on it. So at a roughly 3 per inch, you're going to have a 9 R value in this attic. So we're going to want to go ahead and add insulation and do some air sealing to this attic space. Okay, so once we have the entire house set up, we have all the interior doors open, exterior doors closed, we have any mechanical ventilation turned off, we have the combustion appliances turned off, we can go ahead and I have my combustible gas detector out here, or combustion gas analyzer out here. So one of the things that we're going to do is also, for some of the tests, have to check for CO levels in one level of the house. So that's been zeroed out. One of the key points to this is making sure you're on the correct type of fuel. So you'll see like that 1 is your natural gas, 2 is going to be your propane, 3. You can see the little drop is your heating oil. So you want to make sure you have that on the proper setting. And then you're always going to want to be on your flue gas. Will give you your settings so you can take a reading. It says we're at 0 parts per million. Give it a few seconds. Make sure. You can always confirm it. You should have a personal CO monitor in the house or on you at all times, and you're going to be checking that throughout the entire process and every time you're doing any combustion safety for sure. Okay, so once we have that completed, we're going to go ahead and set up the blower door. So with this, one of the easiest ways to do it when you're first starting out is to actually lay the skin down on the floor. Some of the more seasoned assessors will leave it on the frame. It can be dangerous to, putting it in and out of the car or throwing stuff in the back end, and you could potentially rip that. So personally, I don't do that, and it becomes a little more cumbersome when you're trying to fit it to the door. So for the test or for the video purposes, we're going to go ahead and just lay it out on the floor, which is the easiest for beginners to do. Okay, so we're gonna fit this to the door. It's easiest just to set it inside, make it nice and tight, lock down the little knobs. We're not gonna worry about the cams just yet. We're gonna make sure it's nice and tight to the top. I'm gonna put this out nice and flat here. So then you're going to pull this out of the door frame, lay it across the door. In some houses it can be kind of tough, like especially split level houses. So you might want to get used to doing it up too, where you can lay it up against the wall, put the bottom on, and then pull it over the top. We're gonna make sure all of our straps are on. Okay, so now our door is set up and it's sized to the frame of the door. We're gonna make sure we open up and lock the screen door open. There we go. With your outside reference hose, you want to make sure that this is 6 feet, a minimum of 6 feet away from the door, not in direct line of the blower. So we're going to take one end, throw it out. We got more than enough 6 feet. We're going to leave the excess at the base of the door there. We're going to go ahead and put the door frame in. We're going to lock the cams down, all 4 of these cams here. So it's nice and tight in the frame. You shouldn't be able to pull it out. We're going to take the remainder of the hose here, put it through one of our holes. Take our blower. It's easiest if you have the shroud to the inside, and then you can put the fan on it and pull the shroud around it. And we're gonna hang this up here so it's nice and tight, stays nice. We're gonna take our manometer, and with our manometer, there is on the newer DG1000s tubing assist. One of the ways that I like to train people to do this is if it's green, it goes to the grass. So, and your reference hose always goes outside. So on the left side is your input from the house and your reference to the outside. So the only time you're going to be utilizing the left side typically is going to be when you're going to the outside, and that's always reference. Another good analogy for that I've heard is the referee is on the field, so it goes outside to the field. So then we're going to take there's a long hose here. Okay. And then this is going to be our input from the fan. So we're going to connect it to the fan. And then if we can find the other side of this, we'll go to the input side of channel B. So now that we have the blower door set up, we're going to go ahead and enter our baseline reading here. So there's a button right down here at the bottom. We're going to say set baseline. We're going to let that stabilize. We've got a little bit of a breeze today, so that's going to throw us off just a little bit. So maybe wait a little bit longer to average that baseline reading out. And then once you have that set, you're going to hit enter. Now it's going to zero us out. So once you have the blower door all set up and you've taken your baseline reading with the fan covers on, typically your most houses are going to be a ring A. So you're going to go ahead and open that up to ring A. You're going to make sure that your controller says ring A on it. And then we'll go ahead and get that started. We're going to ramp it up to about 25 psi or pascals. And if there's any combustion or solid fuel combustion, like a pellet stove or a fireplace, that's when we're going to go ahead and check. We should have already checked to make sure that they're off and there's no hot ash in there. But we're going to make sure that any ash is not blowing into the house at this point. Since we don't have any of those here, we don't have to worry about it. So we're going to start bringing that up to 50 pascals. So once we're hitting 50 pascals, we're going to read that number there. So we're right at that 1546 mark. So we're going to log that as our CFM at 50. With the blower door going, we're going to do a couple other auxiliary tests that are going to allow us to do zonal pressure to different rooms in the house and to unconditioned space. So like the attic or a garage space. So we're going to need our manometer and a hose with a probe on the end of it. So we're going to set it up on our pressure, and then we can check like to the bathroom. We'll close the door, slide the probe under, and we can see that that bathroom is pressurized in reference to the house. So that means that the house is under worse depressurization than the bathroom, so it is leaky. We can do that for multiple rooms. You can also feel the air coming out from there, so you know that there's a lot of air coming in, like from the window or any penetrations in the bathroom there too. So we'll do that for another door here. You can usually feel the air coming underneath the door. So that one, you know, there's a lot of pressure in the room there, so we know that there's some good leaks in there. It can give us some quantitative data on whether the room is more pressurized, depressurized, how the where we can find a lot of the leakage in the house. There are different types of doors in this house too, so some seal better than others. You've got like a slider here. That's another good thing to note. So the other advanced diagnostic tool that we're going to utilize while we're having the blower door going is to check for the duct leakage with the blower door. We can find leaky duct runs with that. So for that, we're going to need our pressure pan. So the easiest one to do on here is down in the basement. So you want to have this on your input here. You're going to come in, cover the entire thing, press firmly, and you can see that it's pressurized in there. So this one's pretty leaky. So we might want to, note that we can do some duct sealing that can reduce the leakage in the house too. So the other thing that we need to check for testing purposes and advanced diagnostics would be one outlet or switch and the connection point, the connection to the outside with it. So we're going to go ahead and look at this one here. So there is quite a bit of leakage coming in from the switch here because the top plate is not sealed properly. So at this point in the inspection, the only other one that we didn't do is to an unconditioned space. So during your test, you'll need to do one to an unconditioned space as well. So either the garage or into the attic. So here we have the garage door closed and everything ready to go. And this one, you can even hear the wind whistling underneath the door here. So we know there's a lot of leakage there. So you're gonna put your probe in. You're gonna be able to see that this is more connected to the outside than the inside because it's closer to 50. And we're referencing the negative 50 in the house. So once we have all the advanced diagnostic testing done and zonal pressure testing done to conditioned space and different spaces in the house, this would be the time when you're doing an assessment to break out a thermal camera maybe and check your exterior top plates, any of your knee walls with that. So we'll start this camera up. This takes a minute. Okay. So once we have our thermal camera going, we can go ahead and check our top plates, like the exterior top plates, how it's really warm on this one here. So there's potentially very little insulation right up against the exterior top plate there, which is a very common issue. You can check around doors. Like it looks like that door's not sealing all that well on the latch side. You can check outlets and switches. Very common that there's air leakage around those. Around light fixtures, there's air leakage around there, so you're looking for that starburst effect with that. Any knee walls, the basement rim joist are good areas to hit. Cantilevers, those kinds of things. You're going to really want to focus a little bit of attention with your thermal camera. So now that we've gotten all the assessment portions done with the blower door and thermal imaging, we're going to go ahead and break all this down so we can get on with the rest of it. All right, so now that we've gotten the blower door out of the way, one of the other advanced testing that we can do either on a range hood or on the bath fans is utilizing our flow hood. Our flow hood is going to tell us how well a fan is exhausting. So we're going to set that up on the input tab on your manometer and hook it up to your flow hood. We're going to go to the bathroom and check this bath fan here. One of the best things to note is how the control for the bath fan is, whether it's a switch, a rheostat, a timer, things like that, so that you can turn it on and get it to exhaust properly. So for this, we're set to E1. We're going to go ahead and take a reading. We're going to press this firmly against the ceiling. We're reading at a 2.7, 2.8. So we're going to say 2.8 because it's bouncing between 2.8 and 2.9. So at the 2.8 at E1, we've got 73 CFM. So that's over the 50 CFM that the fan is rated for. So we're doing really good there. Okay. Once we have all our advanced testing done, we're going to go ahead and get ready to do our combustion safety testing. One good thing if you're testing the water heater, to get the water heater fired up, is actually get some water out of the tank. So we're going to go ahead and grab our thermometer. You can use a thermal camera or an IR thermometer. You can use a little thermometer probe. You're going to get the water flowing, let some hot water come out for a little while. So we can also at this point check our flow rate. Sometimes on different faucets, they'll have the flow rate actually stamped on the faucet. Another way you can do that is taking a bucket and a stopwatch and checking the flow rate on the different water fixtures. On the shower heads, usually they're stamped on there, but you might have to also do that with a bucket and a timer. When you're looking at lighting, evaluating your lighting, you can look at the top of the bulb to see on an incandescent bulb. On most of the CFLs and your LEDs, it's going to be on the bottom part of the ring. You should have learned that in your training already. Oh yeah, this is getting hot now. Okay, so we can take a reading of the water temperature. 120 degrees is what is recommended coming out at the fixtures, and we're about 130 degrees right now, so we can recommend having them turn down that water temperature just a little bit. We're going to let that run for just another minute or two, get a little bit more water out of the tank so that when we are ready to kick the tank on to check the CO levels in the flue, we'll have plenty of time to do so. All right, while we're in the kitchen here, another thing that we're going to want to look at is different appliances. So like for the refrigerator here, we're going to look to see it's a GE appliance. We can take note of the serial number and the model number on that. Sometimes they'll actually have it on there what the date on the water heater is when it was manufactured. Some of them you might have to look up. So get that down. It's easy if you get a photo of those so that you can potentially look that up later. Again, get more photos than you're going to need during an assessment, and you'll always have the information that you need to finish. So the rest of the combustion safety is going to be done down in the CAZ or combustion air zone. So down here where we have, or in the attic, depending on if there's multiple zones sometimes, we're going to check what is the lowest BTU unit. So for our furnace, it's going to be a much higher BTU unit than our water heater typically. So that's going to be the one that we're going to be most concerned with backdrafting issues. So down here in our combustion air zone, the things that we're going to be looking at are our types of distribution system. So this is a ducted system or a centrally ducted system. You've got your airdrop or return air. You've got your supply coming up and your supply plenum going out to your branch ductwork. You're going to look for your filter. You're going to check to see the condition of your filter. This one's a little bit dirty, but it looks like it's all right. We're going to look at the age and condition of the different appliances. like the furnace, it makes sure that the flue is vented in the minimum 1/4 inch rise per foot for the furnace and for the water heater. When you have them joining up like this, your lower BTU unit should be venting above the higher BTU unit to prevent backdrafting on that. Another thing that you're going to look for is going to be your water lines. Are they insulated? Is there any evidence of backdrafting from your water heater? So in this case, there's areas where we can insulate those water lines to give us a better, less heat transfer from them. You're also going to be looking to make sure you have a TPR valve. You want a TPR extension within 6 inches of the floor. This one's a little bit short. Your control module is going to be what controls your temperature settings for your water heater. So you can see it goes from low all the way up to very hot. We already established earlier with taking the water temperature that they could potentially put this at a slightly lower setting to get the recommended temperature from the actual fixtures themselves. So we're going to age these units. It's a good idea to probably take a picture of the water heater and the tag on it. Same with our furnace. We're going to want to get the age, condition of the furnace, and get a picture of the manufacturer's tag on that. So once we're down here and set up, one of the things that you're going to want to do on normal assessment is make sure that there are no gas leaks with your combustible gas detector or gas sniffer. So you would do the same thing, go 360 degrees around all of your connection points, 1 inch per second. That's how we're going to determine. We'll use the bubble leak solution if we find a leak to confirm that leak. So now that we've identified all the different components on the water heater and the furnace and the ages and conditions of them, we're going to set up for the worst case depressurization test. So that's going to include getting a baseline reading with a manometer, and then turning on all of the bath fans, the dryer, anything that exhausts to the outside. Like I said before, the recirculation fan above the range, we're not going to have to turn on because that's not exhausting to the outside. So we're going to start out by finding a window or some kind of a penetration that we can put our hose out to. So here we have a nice window to put our hose out. Want to make sure there are no kinks, obviously, in your hose. It's a good idea to tape it off just so that it doesn't fall back in, or you don't have an irregularity with the number because you have all this extra open space there, letting air into your CAS. We want to measure that inside the CAS here, so we're going to kick this thing back on. It shut off on me. Okay, so once we have our manometer back on, we're going to go ahead and hook up our reference hose to the outside, so it's referenced to the outside on channel A again. So we're going to go ahead and we'll just put that right there. For this, we're just going to log our baseline. We're not going to actually hit the baseline because we want to see what the actual worst depressurization that the house can go to on its own is. So now that we're actually positively pressured slightly here down in the CAS, we're going to go ahead and kick on all of the exhaust fans in the house, including the dryer, and see what we depressurize to. So now that we have all of our bath fans on and our dryer running, we're going to check to see what our depressurization is. So we're right now floating between, look, it's dropping again. Might be a little bit windy outside. One of the things you can do to help stabilize your pressures there, if it is a windy day, is put a T connection on the end. Some people will put the end of their tube in a bottle, make sure that there's nothing obstructing the tube, or any water or anything like moisture on the end of your line if it's raining or something outside. So we're looking like we're around that 1.5 to 1.7 mark. So now we're going to go ahead and turn the fan itself on for the furnace to see how leaky the returns are down here. We can already see that there's some holes in the pan returns here. So that's going to probably depressurize the CAZ a little bit more for us with that fan on. So up here at the thermostat, we're going to go, everyone's going to be a little different. Sometimes you have to go through the settings to find your fan. This one's pretty easy. Go to fan on. It should be kicking our fan on down in the CAZ. So in the CAZ here, we're going to check with the CAZ door closed and with it open to see what gives us the worst depressurization. So now once you have your fan running, we're going to see what our worst case depressurization is with the door open and door closed, as I said. So it actually looks like it's pressurizing slightly down here with the fan running. So I'm going to open up this door here. And see if that changes anything. Still sitting around that 1.7 to 1.9 mark. So we can call that depressurization, around a 1.7, 1.8, just bounced up to 2 a little bit. So we're under the old BPI threshold on that. So once we've got that done, we're going to go ahead and write down our worst case depressurization. If you don't have a furnace that can run independently from the fan can't run independently from the furnace, you can skip that step according to BPI, because you don't want to run the furnace and get a hot flue pipe. So one of the things that we're going to do before we start our water heater is identify if it's a hot flue or a cold flue. If it hasn't been running because we've had it off this whole time, it hasn't been running, it should be a cold flue. You can feel it. It's not hot to the touch. So you've got a cold flue for our startup. That's what we want to see. So then we're going to go ahead and kick the furnace or the water heater back up to its original setting. It just clicked on. So we're going to wait our 2 minutes for our spillage test. Okay, so once we have our 2-minute mark, we're going to go ahead and check for exhaust. Make sure that you can see the smoke being drawn up the flue. Yeah, give a close up on that. So you can see it being drawn up. So we don't have any backdrafting already with the unit. So that's a good sign that everything's going to be drafting properly as we go. Then at 5-minute mark, we're going to take our combustion gas analyzer. We're still going to be on the flue gases, but on this one, we're going to scroll up and we're going to be reading undiluted flue gas, or where it says UCO, undiluted flue gas. We're going to stick it down into the throat of the unit and read, let it stabilize. Looks like we're bouncing between 1 and 0, so that's really good. So we're just going to call it 1. So we're going to mark that down. You want to test the lowest BTU unit first, then the higher BTU unit being the furnace. So now we would kick the furnace on, make sure we're still not backdrafting once the furnace kicks on, because that can, depending on the flue configuration, cause the water heater to now backdraft. So when you're testing a furnace, If there's already a point drilled in it from the testing of the HVAC guys, you can utilize that port. Some companies will allow you, and homeowners will allow you to drill into a single wall vent, not a double wall vent. Since this is all double wall vent right here, the BPI standard is actually for any sealed combustion or draft inducing furnace, you would test it at the exhaust point. In this case, it being on the roof, we're not going to get up on the roof because it might be unsafe to test at that point. So when we're testing the furnace and water heater, just remember to reference your BPI standards. For a sealed combustion or induced draft furnace, you're going to be at 400 parts per million is the maximum. For the water heater, it's going to be 200. And then we're going to go ahead and call this a pass for both and move on to the last bit. So the last thing we want to go ahead and do is make sure that we reset the water heater to the same setting it was on. Make sure we have our water heater cover or our furnace cover back on. And then we can clean up and finish our assessment and make our report. All right, so now that we've finished our combustion safety testing, we've shut off all the fans, turned everything back to its original condition. We're going to let the homeowner know that we're all done, answer any questions that they might have, get our report together and get that off to them, and give any follow-up information that the homeowner may need or your program requires for retrofits. Thanks for watching. Again, I'm Robert, and have a great day.